and welcome back to another episode of Screen Tested. I am your host Tyrant, where we take things from movies, TV shows, pop culture, try to create them in the real world and test them one-to-one from the media that they come from. Now in today's episode we're going to be having a little bit more of a light-hearted one, a fun one, because I think the results are kind of easy to predict right off the bat, but I think it'll be fun just to explore because it is a rather wacky concept, and that is Sora's Keyblade from the Kingdom Hearts series. Literally a blade. Do we even call it a blade? I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sora's Keyblade from the Kingdom Hearts series is a key. It's the shape of a key. So is it a practical design? Probably not. Is there some virtues? Maybe. Is there some drawbacks? Definitely. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Now look, hey, I've never been a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series, and what I mean by that is I've never played the games. I never delved into that world. I don't think it's for me. It never really drew me in that much. But no hate, if it's not practical and it's not a good weapon, that's perfectly fine. That's always accepted. It's just a fun one today. Let's explore the Keyblade. Maybe it might be good. Never know. Probably not. So when it comes to the build for the Keyblade, I started out by cutting the key teeth out of some flat steel bar and shaping them to the best of my abilities. Now they're not going to be 100% perfect, but trying to get close enough to the key shape. I also put an edge on all of them so the key part should be sharp. I know there's some caveats with that and how the Keyblade is used, but we'll get into that a little bit later. After that, I had to weld it to the key portion of the blade, a steel pipe. I finally have gotten around to learning how to weld. I am still trash at it, but I'm learning. But it's a skill that I thought, yeah, it's time to learn. Anyway, but after that was welded and it had cooled down, I brought it back with the angle grinder to use a sanding disc just to clean up some of the welds, some of the joints, so they look a little bit more pretty and presentable. Then I chucked a piece of aluminum onto the lathe to start on the handle portion. It has a small blue accent down near the hilt, so I just machined that out of some aluminum very quickly. Then I used some aluminum flat bar to bend the guard shape for the key. The reason why I didn't end up making it a little bit more accurate was just time and material. Creating a guard one-to-one from the Keyblade would have taken a lot more time and effort and a lot more material. So using some flat bar to get the general shape, I think, is a fair compromise because it has the right thickness, at least in how it would interact with your hands, which we'll get into a little bit later when it comes to the caveats. Then I just wrapped the steel pipe in some cord, something very similar that I would do for like a sword, and then use some leather wrap around that. And that pretty much concludes the Keyblade. Not too complex. I had most of the stuff in the workshop. It's just a funky looking weapon. Let's get to the B-roll and then to the testing. So here we have the Kingdom Hearts Sora's Keyblade, and I already have a lot of thoughts. We're going to get into them. How do I think this thing is going to perform? Probably pretty shit, if I'm being honest. However, there's the most fascinating thing that I've found out about this in course of researching for today's episode is that you don't even use it like this. This is the most logical way to use this weapon. In the series, from what I've seen on the clips, he hits with it like this. It's why would you even bother? Really? We've just started. I didn't even touch you. You're being dramatic. Sorry, Tony's getting on my nerves today. It's been a tough one today, let me put it that way. You don't even use it with the axe head facing forward. You use it with the pole bit. So what is the point of just have a pole? Literally a pole would be better. I'm not taking this too serious. Let's try and cut with it. However, there is some caveats we should mention right off the bat, and that is this guard. This thing is f***ing terrible. On top of that, it doesn't have indexing because it is a round handle, meaning where the edge is, I kind of just have to figure it out as I go along. But this one here is the biggest issue. Because this guard gets in the way of your hand, it makes it quite difficult to actually hold it. Holding it with two hands seems to be all right, but you're still pushing that guard into your hand. Now, there are some techniques that I could use instead. For example, it's not a blade, it doesn't have a flat, it's a tube, but I could thumb the blade to kind of come over with it. However, the amount of force that I can generate doing that is far less than if I just swing it normally. So we'll give both a go. We'll give both a go. But let's hit some shit. I've been talking too long. Let's hit some things. Because it is a tube, and the biggest issue we have here is this key part, right? Because this guard, all of these issues that I have with this are brought about because there is this key that I want to hit with. If I didn't want to hit with the key and I just wanted to hit on any of the tubular surface, then I could just hold it like this and it wouldn't be a big deal at all. You'd have this guard here, no problem. But because I want to concentrate all that force here to actually do something, it means I have to hold it in a really awkward guard position. Ugh. It worked. I felt that bite straight in. I hope you can see that. I think this is just allergic to clean cuts. That's not really a controversial take, but let's do another. Maybe I can hit it a different way. Maybe horizontal, because the guard won't get in my way as much. Let's give that a bit of a go. Comfort is relative in this specific instance. I did cut that in half. That was like several times more difficult than a sword though. I want to point that out. That was not easy. That felt way more labor intensive. That is not, I didn't like it. Let's do another. All right, what if we thumb the blade a bit? That is honestly a hard shot to actually nail. Oh, let's see if I can get it. I mean, I nailed the shot. It was still shit though. Oh, that was dumpster fire. I did not like that. Normally I would say another, but I don't want to do another. Let's do a pumpkin, a gourd, a squash, whatever the you call these things. So this one here, because we are able to focus that energy, we should be able to get, yeah, fuck. That got heavy real quick. My cutting area is literally just a couple of inches. It makes hitting targets actually quite difficult. It's like the worst possible axe you could ever imagine. That was pretty cool. That like spun around in the air for a couple seconds. Anyway, let's try the blunt edge. I mean, it's literally just a steel pole. I'm having trouble holding on to this pumpkin, the leverage is what I'm saying. Because my hand is offset like this. I don't know if you can see this. Because I can't keep my hand in line with my sword, it means that I'm having to apply a disproportionate amount of force on the inside of my hand. So that is really difficult actually, to hold that pumpkin out like that. That is crazy. Compared to a regular sword, like if I just spin it around, hold it like this, that's no worries, because my hand is in line with whatever I'm holding. The moment I have to offset it like that, oh, sheesh. Like for example, let's try it like this. Yeah. See, no worries. The moment I have to do that, when we have to do that though, that is crazy heavy. That's a workout. Let's just try a pool noodle. Oh, so uncomfortable. Bare minimum. That is the bare minimum. That is not, I'm sorry, I know I was supposed to have a light-hearted episode. I'm not trying to take it too seriously, but I'm just getting more progressively annoyed. Sorry. That is the most unpleasurable cutting experience I've had in a while. The dynamics of this are random. It is... Okay, there's an interesting dynamic because it is round. You're able to roll it in your hands. Kind of easier to get the edge. Focusing, like if you see that, edge, 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 edge. Like I'm hitting with the edges on all of those because I can roll it in my hands a lot easier. But that is like that's not a positive thing. All right, let's see how it feels to hit something a little bit more solid. We've got Tony here, let's give him a good old whack. Sorry, that sounded bad. Let's see how it can go against an ordinary construction helmet. This should get through, and if this can't get through, then I will be disappointed, in all honesty. So let's just give it a good old whack. I need to stop saying that. Let's give it a good old hit. Let's give it a hit and see how it performs. Alrighty, sorry Tony, you're gonna get hit in the head again. Not bad. Again, bare minimum. Bare minimum. Here, Tony, have a hat. Not bad. I mean, I say not bad, I mean, it really is the bare minimum. There, that was a big one. All right, don't you dare. If you're enjoying today's episode, then you should consider subscribing. What the Subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. You guys know what time it is. It is time for Tyrant's initial thoughts score, or TITS for short. One of the fan favorites. So, Kingdom Hearts Sora's Keyblade, or kind of like any sort of Keyblade for that matter. Honestly, they're not really good for anything, if I'm being honest with you guys. So, starting off with comfort. I mean, it is a round handle, which is comfortable, especially when you don't have to worry about edge alignment, but because if you were to use this weapon, you would want to hit with this axe head type part, that means it's kind of terrible. It rolls in your hand a lot, and especially with this guard is trash. So for comfort, we're in honestly like a 2 territory. Now, I've seen some people ask, well, what would make something get a 0? The truth of the matter is, getting a 0 for comfort would have to be something that actively hurts you. This doesn't actively hurt me, it's just very uncomfortable. And you still can use it with the guard facing this way. It just makes the weapon completely ineffective for the most part. So comfort for this, because you have this giant guard in your way, actually making it quite difficult to exert the right kind of pressures on your hands and stuff. 2 is the most I'm going for it. When it comes to the wieldability, I mean, that rolls on from comfort because you have a round handle. That can kind of work with it because I'm able to switch from, let's say, a reverse edge strike to a primary. I mean, it only has one edge, but I'm able to quickly roll the blade around to where I need it to be. So wieldability isn't terrible, but then again, when you actually hit the thing, because it is round, like everything here kind of is a feedback loop. So for wieldability, I'm in like a 4. You can wield it, I can hit things, I can effectively hit stuff, and I could effectively use it. That doesn't mean it's good though. I feel like that's the caveat there. So that is wieldability and comfort. Next up, let's go with the design. 1. I don't know what. The design as a functional weapon. I'm not talking about game mechanics, I'm not talking about special lore reasons. Purely as a real world weapon, this is really not good. And the way I kind of, figure out how well a weapon would be, especially when it comes to something like the design, is very simple. If you laid out a bunch of weapons on a table to me and you said, you need to go fight this other person to like a duel, right? Pick the weapon you want to choose. I would never choose this. Sorry. And then lastly, we have effectiveness. Oh, okay. How effective is this thing? Six. It is pretty fucking gnarly up here, but it's essentially just because it's an axe. It's a really terrible axe. And even if you were to use it how they use it in the game, lore accurate, if you will, using it this way as a steel pipe, it's a steel pipe. Like, it's still reasonably effective. So effectiveness, I can give it, there's a little bit of leeway there. It's not entirely trash when it comes to actually imparting some damage on a target, at least. And that gives us a final score of 13. 13 out of 40. Like I said, a light-hearted episode. I'm not trying to be mean to the Kingdom Hearts fans. This is just not particularly a good or effective weapon. It can be used to do some damage. I mean, it's as effective as, like, a steel pipe is just as effective as this. A regular axe is more effective than this. So it's just not the best. That is my opinion, guys. Genuinely hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would genuinely appreciate it. And remember, you can become a channel member if you want to help support the work that I do here, the content that I do, and these sorts of builds. You can become a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. And you get access to a whole bunch of, like, you know, behind the scenes and exclusive content that I make specifically for people who support the channel. That's going to be all for today. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you next week with another episode. The one thing it does seem to do all right, though, is picking up the rubbish. Look at that. So I did find a use case for it.